What, my full name?
Yes.
Yeah, John Michael Leslie Edwards.
You have a cider brand called Fly Be Night.
Yeah.
Real cider.
Indeed, yes.
Is it the Fly Be Night or?
It could be. It varies a bit.
You are listening to Cider Chat. Hello, my name is Rio Wincaller, and I am the producer and cider MC of this weekly podcast, where we speak with makers, cider enthusiasts, and folks within the cider trade from around the world. This week, it is a featured chat with John Michael Leslie Edwards of Fly Be Night Cider Company, based in Ross-on-Wye in the United Kingdom. We'll be getting to that chat soon with John the cider maker, but first, a wee bit of news out and about in Ciderville. Ever since I posted online that I'm heading to the Finger Lakes Cider Week, going out, actually, I'm there now while you're listening to this podcast. So if you're listening when it went live on Wednesday, which is when the podcast always is targeted to go live, I've already been there for a couple days. But backing up a bit, when I mention that I'm going to the Finger Lakes, or when I'm saying that in person to somebody, there's kind of like a little bit of a stall moment, and a big smile comes on the person's face, and they just make a sound like a purr. Like oh, because there's a lot of love for that region. Folks know it is visually spectacular. And of course, if you are into good libations, well, this is a targeted area, one to have on your list. And I'm there now, recording with folks. It's a ton of fun. I'm just going to give you a little bit of a quick overview. And of course, thank the folks who are sponsoring this trip to the Finger Lakes Cider region, specifically around Cayuga Lake and Ithaca. That whole region there is just fantastic. I'm going to be talking to Finger Lake Cider House. I'll be talking to Black Diamond Cider Company. Also, South Hill Cider, Bellwether Cider, and Redbird Cider, and also the folks at Cornell University, what they're doing there at Cornell Orchards. On top of seeing Jason Wilson, he has his new book out, Cider Revival. There's going to be a dinner at Eve's Cidery. So I haven't gotten there yet because this went live on Wednesday, and that's going to be Thursday night. So just know that I'm raising my glass to you, thinking about you, always Ciderville, as we tour about virtually, in this case, out and about in Ciderville. Looking forward to bring you those podcast episodes. Too much fun. Or is there? Is there ever too much fun in Ciderville? I think not. It's just like a steady on, which is a little bit of the theme of this week's podcast that we'll be getting to shortly. But let's take a little breather here, and I'll be right back telling you a little bit more about a tour that you might want to be able to come along with me in person.
Walking through the orchards, dancing in the streets, smelling all the blossoms, kicking up our feet.
I should let you know that that's my cousin Jay and I singing our favorite song, We Like Cider, and it's kind of become the theme music for this here podcast. And so that's what's going on there. It's just so much fun. You know, it's all about walking the orchard or hanging out with the duck chicken folks singing Camping in the Orchard. Good times. Hey, good times coming up in October. Actually, the last day of October, the 31st, is going to be the second annual New England Cider Tour headed to New Hampshire and Vermont. This is the day before Franklin County Cider Days, which is a 3-day cider event with lots of free workshops, all focused on orcharding and drinking cider. And you could do tailgating. There's cider salons, there's ticketed events, and there's free events, and there's going to be a cider and cannabis event. Lots of stuff going on, folks. But come early. You have that option, I hope. Come early and join me and some awesome people on the cider bus heading out of Greenfield and returning to Greenfield for a 1-day cider tour. We're going to meet with 6 makers that day. We have Farnham Hill. We're going to be going to Farnham Hill Poverty Lane Orchards, speaking with Steve Wood. He is the dude there and really has been around for a while, a long time. Just filled with so much vim and vigor, that Steve Wood. We'll be having lunch at Fable Farm Fermentory. If you don't know Christopher and John Piana, these 2 brothers are making it happen there. They are doing some wild stuff with cider, and we'll be going into their cider cave, having lunch. And then while we are there, we'll also have in presence with us Flag Hill Cider, Tin Hat Cider, and Eden Specialty Cider. All Vermont makers hanging in that giant barn. It's going to be exquisite. I mean, it's really an exquisite experience there. They got it going on. And then we'll be heading back south, making our way down to Windsor, Vermont, and making a stop at Silo Distillery and Cider Company. That's in like the artesian area. There's all kinds of cool shops there. And we'll get to meet Nicole Laban and also Erin Bell, who's a distiller. Nicole used to work at Farnham Hill. She's now at Silo Distillery. I hope your eyes are getting wide at that fact, because that's kind of huge for Silo to have Nicole. And after meeting Erin, I'm just in awe of this place. I might just hang there. I don't know. Maybe send the bus back down to Greenfield. Maybe we'll just all camp out at Silo Distillery that night. I don't know. Anything could happen in Ciderville. If you want to go along with me, the bus is filling up. We got a big bus now. And you need to just send me an email, ria@ciderchat.com. Put in the subject, New England Cider Tour. I'll send you the further info. This is kind of a quintessential kind of New England setup where you got to actually reach out to me. You don't do it online. We're going to kind of go slow and low into Ciderville. So you got to connect with me that way via email in order to get onto this select tour. And time is running out. We're right in the beginning here of October. So click, clock, get in touch with me and hop on the cider bus heading to New Hampshire and Vermont for the 2nd annual New England Cider Tour. It's time for our featured chat with John Michael Leslie Edwards of Fly Be Night Cider Company, based in England. Now, what you should know is, well, most folks just know him as John the Cider Maker. When I was tooling about at the Ross Cider Fest, where he is based out of, because he is working both at the Ross Cider Company and then is working with his own label, folks would say, oh, you got to talk to John the Cider Maker about that. Or, hey, have you seen John the Cider Maker? Whenever I asked for John, it was always with this tagline, John the Cider Maker, which really fits the guy. I want to give you a little imagery of what John looks like. He's a good-looking gent with dreadlocks that go back down to his, the lower part of his waist for sure. And he has some gold-rimmed glasses and just a smile that you could dive into. The guy is friendly, he is patient, and he is knowledgeable, and he is well respected for his work. I got to hang out with he and his son Ali, who just came back from Chile after working down there in a winery. And they were in the barn at the Ross Cider Fest pouring the Fly Be Night Cider Company label that John uses as part of his brand. But then again, you should know as we get into this chat, well, John, the cider maker, is kind of a elusive character in that on one hand, he says he has this brand called Fly Be Night. But the other side, he's kind of playing with it and say, well, there's like a label within a label. The guy brings you into his brand and his artwork. I really want to recommend that you go and see his artwork in the show notes for this here episode 195 and get an idea of where he takes cider. He really truly sees it as an art, which is awesome because I do too. And it was such a privilege to be able to sit down with him and have this chat, meet his son Ollie, and get to know John the cider maker and what he brings to all of us, and to hear his viewpoint on cider making. One part, meticulous notes, and 2 parts, just going with the flow.
Yeah, I started coming here to Broome Farm and working with Mike nearly 20 years ago.
20 years ago.
And really, we sort of just grown with the business. So, I mean, I first came to this in 1986 when I used to come to the farm to buy draft cider off Mike's father. And I got to know Mike at the first cider festival at the Yew Tree Inn up the road. That's before the company had it. Because we played at it. So he invited our band to...
Music through cider. Wow. Yeah. It's a full circle.
And then we went back the following year, and I was coming in just doing some hand picking in the season, 1 day a week on my day off. And it started from there. But
wow.
As far as the cider making is concerned, I've always been interested in sort of fermented drinks, and that started when I was about 9 or 10 years old, when a batch of ginger beer went wrong. So it went right, but it went wrong, because half of them exploded, and the ones that didn't explode were mildly alcoholic, shall we say.
Oh dear.
And then we got interested then in making country wines. So I spent quite a lot of time with a mother of one of my friends when I was a kid, who used to make wine out of everything, Mrs. Wheeler up the road.
Mrs. Wheeler. Yeah. Thank you, Mrs. Wheeler, for introducing John to the world of fermentation.
So yeah, yeast is amazing, and one of my favourite all-time drinks. I think she made a bottle conditioned, effectively a plum cider then, which was fantastic.
Wow.
And that was done in the old internally threaded quart bottles, the ones that all the cider makers around here used to use. So Weston's, Bulmers, everything came in those bottles. Internally threaded screw. Yeah, they're quite a high pressure bottle.
Huh, it's kind of like a malt liquor bottle in a way. Is that true?
So,
yeah. Kind of that. Is that what
possibly. You don't see most, but I've seen an internally threaded vessel for ages. Not for years. I've still got a case of the old ones in my garage, funnily enough, which I might get around to using when I can find something suitable to put in them. Yeah.
So you're doing this cider making. Are you doing that here on Broome Farm?
My own stuff. Yeah. Mike's always let me use the equipment. And really, with the small amount that I make these days, I mean, I can tack that on to the end of a working day. Whereas when I was making a lot more, sort of 4,000 to 5,000 litres a year, then that would be every other weekend. So we'd be working for Ross Cider on one weekend, and the following weekend pick on a Saturday, press on a Sunday, with friends and family effectively helping me out with that. Yeah.
You're in it now from a different perspective, from being a cider maker, working for someone else, and now doing it for yourself. Well, doing both, right?
Yeah.
Kind of burning the candle on both ends there. How's that going? I mean, now you have to be that kind of marketeer or something.
Well, no, because I don't really go out and sell my cider effectively. What I have, I can sell quite easily, the small quantity I make. As I said, we're literally looking at 5 barrels a year, all of which are bottle conditioned. So that's 1,600, 1,700 bottles, something like
doable,
that. Yeah, it's easy.
So where would I be able to find it if I was coming in here and I didn't know you, John? Is it kind of, you got to know a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
That knows John, and you're like, you're golden.
Yeah, I'm going now. I've got the all my new labels sorted and so on for this year. I'm going to be putting some in the Tap House in Ross, which is the local micro pub, and that will probably be it. That will probably be enough with this cider festival. And now my son's back from Chile. He spent 18 months working in a winery in Colchagua Valley over there. So, yeah, he's got a lot of and worked for 3 years.
Where was he working at?
It's Colchagua Valley. It's Besa Negra Wines he worked for 18 months.
All right.
Coordinating volunteers working in the vineyards, bottling, pressing.
So he wasn't doing apple cider, because there's a cidery down in Chile that I've had on the podcast.
Yeah, I met him. They came here last year, I think, on a visit. I can't remember his name, but they weren't very...
Diego.
Valparaiso, were they?
And Matisse.
That sounds familiar.
Two cousins that have a cidery down there. What am I'm drinking here?
It's a blend I make every year. So it's 50-50 Dabinet and sweet coppin. And sweet coppin being quite an underrated apple, but I like it because it's like wrapping a cushion around things. So it'll soften tannins and it softens acid. That's great.
It really
so that was the last barrel that we pressed last season. That was pressed on the 26th of November. Ollie went out and picked up 10 bags of sweet coppin, and that was the last of the Dabinet that we harvested.
Yeah, this is fantastic. It's super smooth and interesting. So it was in a barrel, you said, yeah?
Yeah. It's not been in oak. That one was fermented in sterile food-grade plastic, which is what we use for most things.
Yeah, really drinkable. What would be the ABV on this?
6.5, that one, which is that's good for me. I was expecting higher with some of the sugars that we had last year. We had a very hot summer. And I know certainly some of the company ciders this year are rocking in at 7 to 7.5, which is, higher than we would normally expect. So yeah, we can cut them back a little bit for some of them who don't like to occasionally maybe. There's a lot of landlords want ciders which are 5.5 to 6 maximum.
I've drank a lot of ciders here this weekend, obviously, but this is my first cider of the day, believe it or not. I know it's a little late today. You were joking with me earlier about drinking cider, and it's like 10 of 3. But, he's laughing. I think I almost made poor John. He's going to start choking on that one. Maybe I just lost all my street cred.
We don't have a breakfast cider at the moment, although I know. Konstantin from Hamilton's Butter in Belgrade, who you may have met, the Russian cider sellers. What did he remark a couple of years ago? It was an early tasting, but at 8 o'clock in the morning, as he's Foxwell Johnny's good breakfast cider, yes? Said, yeah, sure, yeah, absolutely, whatever you like.
Whatever works, right?
Works for you, yeah.
Can you tell me about your branding here? You have this kind of, wild apple here. It's a little...
stitch face apple.
Yeah, stitch face apple.
That comes from some pieces I made in ceramic. I made some little ceramic stitch face apples a few years ago. And I tend to make things first and draw them afterwards. So, 30 years ago when I was at college, they thought I was amazing because it looks exactly like the drawings, John. I said, I made it first and then I drew it. I get a buzz out of it. I like to draw. I like cartoons, things which make me laugh. And it's also kind of a way of getting some slogans in there in amongst and get, perhaps a little bit of a quiet message sometimes.
Let's see what this is saying then. So the Fly Be Night Real Cider.
Right. You ain't seen me, right?
Okay. You ain't seen me. Spelled UYEW, ain't ENT. Ent. And then I can't see the rest, but it's
sin.
Sin. SIN. Me.
And that's also funny. It's kind of a little play on words. And as I said, that because last year was a pop-up, that's when I started selling bottled ciders, or selling cider again since I'm 14. It was last year in 2018.
What does that mean, a pop-up? I'm not familiar with that phrase.
Oh, right. Yeah. a kind of a one-off event bar.
Okay.
Effectively.
Okay.
So that's what all of the cider makers here at Ross Cider Festival, that is effectively what we are doing today, but within the envelope of the festival as it stands.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And I said you burn the candle from both ends. You're working for, one place, you're making your own. It's a busy life. Or is it? Or is it just right?
Kind of no.
And you're artistic?
The most important thing, I think, is to eliminate hurry. Because you've got cider making, you have to be patient. It's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Patience and attention to detail. Yeah. I know where I was going with that quite really. Yeah, I'm so relaxed. I've completely forgotten what I was going to say.
You're doing great.
Yeah.
You worked really hard. He was playing last night with the last show of the evening that went on at maybe 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night, just jamming out on the floor. So you're welcome to be going relaxed right now. But I asked you, is there something that kind of keeps you going in all this?
Yeah, definitely. I do like to work up to the wire, and I like to work to deadline, and I do better when I'm under pressure.
Oh.
So, yeah, I mean, all the work with the T-shirts, the artwork, everything I've done for, with this year's festival in mind, I could probably have done that last May. You
didn't screen press that yourself, did you?
No.
Oh, now you'd be like really wow.
I get them DTG printed. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Wow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. A couple of different places do that for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any kind of long-term goals for like the next 5 years? Just kind of keeping on as it is, or what? What do you think?
We're looking again now. My son's back from Chile. I mean, he used to work on the cider with me, so that was kind of two seasons out, really. But we'd certainly like to take it out and take it further to the right kind of events, obviously, and with very much a similar pitch, that we have at the moment. So that sort of the new thing that makes me laugh is Lucky Crow Real Cider Co. now, which is kind of like the Japanese secret brand idea. It's a brand within a brand. It confuses me, and I like that. And I think, probably somewhere around Mr. Lizard is somewhere around the corner. He might appear in the next few months. Next time I'm drunk and feel like drawing, I shall sit at the kitchen table and scribble until I've done something that makes me laugh effectively.
Right.
And it may well turn into another label, and probably another shirt, and probably another secret brand within a brand, as it were. So yeah.
Perfect. I was kind of curious if we could just talk a little bit about UK cider making overall for somebody who's been in the scene for quite a while. We're up in Herefordshire, and there's all these different spots around it. Is there a lot of crossover, with meeting and hanging out with the other makers in other regions for you in that way?
Yeah, there is, and that it sort of manifests itself in several ways, really. I mean, there are a lot of cider makers we know nationally who, we've known for years. I've got to know because they know Mike, they come to the farm. So, I mean, you can kind of work here at Broome Farm and hang out here, and the world sort of comes to your doorstep effectively. So I mean, we're not only cider makers from all over the country, but cider makers and potential cider makers from all over the world. So last pressing season I had 6, I suppose you could call them, interns, volunteers, slave labour, who'll come and wanting to make cider or making cider and wanting to do something different, see how we do it. So they'll come and spend 2 or 3 weeks with us through the pressing season.
Wow.
Yeah, so we've got 2 here at the Cider Festival, Marco from Italy, James from Scotland, both of whom are really hard workers. Yeah, those are the ones I like,
Well, every farmer does like those hard workers.
But they're also high standards of cleanliness and workmanship, and because cleanliness obviously is the most important thing. I think the biggest problem people have with naturally fermented ciders are hygiene-based, generally speaking.
How so? At what stage of the game?
Anywhere, really. I mean,
because there's a thought of like in this region of the world where people are like, they're so lax. They're not, checking the pH. Maybe they'll check the specific gravity, but maybe they'll buy it and say, okay, that's good, I'm going to go with it. You check the specific gravity because you need to put something on the label right at the end.
Yeah.
But my sense has always been a different ball game in that way. But you're talking about cleanliness. I mean, a little bit of sulfite up front, and then
directed natural fermentation, effectively, and that's done very simply on pH. So,
pH,
yeah. But most of what we ferment here are bitter sweets, so we're looking at normally 75 to 100 ppm in the raw juice. And then that's it. It doesn't see any more sulfite throughout the entire process.
At what stage do you sulfite it? Right after pressing?
Pretty much right after pressing, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then how long afterwards are you kind of like testing it and going from there? You just like sulfite it and then let it go?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it, period.
Yeah. The most important thing is, you get out what you put in. So if you put in clean, good quality fruit that is optimum ripeness, effectively, you will get a decent cider, full stop, and whether you want to make single varieties or balanced blends, like a kind of standard traditional English blend, a sort of a 80% bittersweet, 20% sharp, 70 bittersweet, 30% sharp, in those kind of proportions, then you'll get something that will be, generally a good quality traditional cider. I mean, air is the enemy, obviously, so, we don't want anything going acetic, so all the fermentation vessels are always bang full. I've seen so many people fall down by, yes, this one's a bit strange. I said, well, yeah, how full was your barrel? I thought, I'd only had enough to make it 2/3 full. Well, that'd be why then,
But initially, I mean, a wild ferment, I've always experienced as it's low starting up here. Is that true here? Or does it...
Slow to start.
Slow to start. And what's the temperature that you're keeping it at, too?
Ambient temperature here.
Ambient.
I mean, with
outside.
UK, we're quite lucky.
Yeah.
So it's obviously all fermented indoors in the barn. And the temperature's going to be gradually decreasing through the season from, what is it now? It's probably 18, 20 degrees now. And effectively right down to 0 and below. There are seasons where I've had a week of -8 in November. And we've had ciders, or fermenting ciders, freeze in the barrel. Not uncommon when the temperature gets really low.
Oh, that's interesting. So a low and slow ambient temperature, and you're filling up really high. How often are you going back and checking it? Or it's just, somebody like you, I just see you just kind of got it down. You look at it, oh, yeah, that's good. Smell, maybe, I don't know, around the air. I don't know, look at the sky. And, how does that work for you?
A lot of it's basically done just observing how the juice is fermenting. So with the initial vigorous fermentation, when the cider's foaming effectively, we're keeping an eye on that generally every day. And if they do, foam over, I can skim off the foam and top them up with a little bit of fresh juice.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. So you're filling it up really high, but, that initial fermentation is going to, kick it out, or...
Yeah, I mean, that's
so you
it.
Just let it kick out.
Or if you've got nice, clean circumstance, for fermentation, a nice, clean building, you can leave the lids off completely. But then again, okay, if it's a bit of a fruit fly season, then you don't do that.
But it's late in the season, so fruit flies just colder out here?
It kicks up in temperature, they just appear again.
Yeah.
I'll keep everything loosely covered during the initial fermentation. And then normally just leave it locked down or start locking down the lids perhaps 3 to 4 weeks in. As soon as that initial surge has passed, then you can think about closing the container a little more tightly. I like to keep it as simple as possible.
There's no storage here.
Storage,
apple storage.
Oh no, we don't store fruit. It's all pressed.
It's just done. One pressing and that's done.
When it's ready, effectively.
Right. What goes on the rest of the year after it's all kind of made?
Fine. Right, yeah, well, we can be pressing sometimes right up till just before Christmas. So following Christmas till Easter then is pruning and orchard maintenance. If the weather's dry. If the weather's wet, then I'm racking. And I'd normally aim to get most of the racking done by May. generally speaking. I mean, some of them, last year, I racked some of the early stuff that we pressed beginning of September, mid-September. I racked in December before Christmas. It was at that point where I was quite happy to move it on to the next stage.
Right.
You know.
So how long are the days here during the height of the season?
What, when we're pressing?
Yeah.
It's not insane. Could be 9-10 hour days, and normally a 6-day week. Generally try and take a day off, you know.
You have to just recover.
Oh, you just go crazy otherwise, yeah. And if it takes 6 months to ferment out, it takes 6 months.
You have the fruit here, you know. I mean, that's it. I mean, you have just a amazing resource of fruit and diversity of fruit. So you're kind of guaranteed to make a pretty darn good product. No matter what, you are like one step ahead of the curve, like no other.
I mean, we've got the main bittersweet varieties, the usual Dabinet, Michelin, Harry Masters, Jersey. But then we have, as I said, probably 100 other varieties available, which will be on or off in any given year. And I just see it as like having a palette of flavours that you can access, like a palette of colours, you know, and it's choosing what to put together to make the blends in any given season, effectively. So every year is different, and that's what keeps it interesting. If it was the same every year, I probably wouldn't be doing it. It's that simple, you know. So we do like to have the nice surprises, the serendipity. We don't get many nasty surprises. I think we've had 2 bad barrels in the last 18 years.
Wow.
And that's, one was a rum barrel, which I think was a bit of an iffy container. And I think we had another one that we had a damaged seal on one of the old blue plastics. Yeah.
When you use the term barrel, it's kind of, you interchange that between an oak barrel and an IBC. Is that true?
Barrels. Well, barrel is anything round and barrel shaped, effectively. Right. So we use quite a lot of 220 litre food grade plastic, generally for single varieties. And again, it means we can press quite small quantities of fruit, effectively. So the smallest containers I use are 120 litres, and the largest are 1,500. We discussed going big tank a few years ago, but you know, you can be as big a tank as you like, but you still can't compete with the big commercial makers. Best to stick to what we do and stick to what we know.
And you do well already.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, but that's, I think, you know, you always play to one's strengths.
Always play to your strength. He's making 5 barrels a year, all of which are bottle conditioned. Yes, John Michael Leslie Edwards says, the most important thing is to eliminate hurry. Words to live by, John the Cider Maker. What an absolute pleasure. A big tip of the glass to you and to your family, and to the next time we meet again and have a chat. An absolute pleasure. Again, that is John Edwards of Fly Be Night. You're going to have to know somebody who knows somebody, and, well, you know me. So that's a good start. I hope you could track this guy down. He's elusive, he's amazing, and he is one mighty fine cider maker. A big tip of the glass to all the patrons of this here podcast who support Cider Chat via Cider Chat's Patreon page. Do ask for the following cideries specifically because they are helping to support this podcast every month through their donation. Ask for Rambourn Cider Company based in Luxembourg, Eden Specialty Ciders based in Vermont, Original Sin, based in New York, Ross-on-Wye Cider and Perry Company, based in Ross-on-Wye in Herefordshire in the United Kingdom, Santa Cruz Cider Company, based in now Watsonville. They have an open tasting room based in Watsonville. That's right off of Highway 1 when you're cruising up and down the Pacific Coast. And also Insider Japan, Japan's first and only bilingual magazine dedicated to all things cider. And Process NMR Associates LLC. They do analysis of cider, and that is run by, well, John Edwards. Not the John Edwards on this featured chat, but a different fellow. And I would love to sit both of those John Edwards down and share some cider, a bottle or two with them. Hot dang, that'd be fun. Yeah, John Edwards of Process NMR, he's really right on with cider and a good guy to send your cider samples to. I know a lot of makers who do, and he helps them out figure out what's going on with their cider so they could keep on moving forward. And also James Creek Cider House based in North Carolina. And now it is time to roll out of here. I am in the Finger Lakes as you are listening to this when it goes live. If not, well, I'm somewhere out and about in Ciderville, and I hope, like me, you are having a good time. This is episode 195, and I am Rhea Windcaller, hoping to see you soon in Ciderville.
We like cider. We like palms. We love orchards. And having fun. There is a reason why we do it like this. Yes, there is. There is a reason why we do it like this. Oh, yes, there is. There is a reason why we drink it like this. Yes, there is a reason why we do it like this. We like walking through the orchards, dancing in the street, smelling all the blossoms, kicking up our feet. We like cider. We like palms. We like orchards, having some fun. There is a reason why we do it like this. Oh yes, there is. There's a reason why we do it like this. Oh yes, there is. There is a reason why we drink it like this. Yes, there is. There is a reason. We like walking through the orchards, dancing in the street, smelling all the blossoms, kicking up our feet. Oh yeah. We like cider. Oh yes, we do. We like palm. Oh yes, we do. We love orchards, having some fun. There is a reason why we do it.